Wisconsin Sports Zone update. Well, if there's any thought the Packers were going to have some kind of quarterback controversy, Coach Matt LaFleur put that to rest yesterday. LaFleur said that Jordan Love is going to remain a starting quarterback when he clears through the concussion protocol. That's despite an impressive couple weeks here from Malik Willis, where he threw for more than 400 yards, couple of touchdowns, ran for 2 more. So why does LaFleur think Love is the right answer for his team?
His body of work throughout the course of 3 years, especially I think this season, I think he's taken his game to another level. So, and that's not to discount anything. I mean, like I said, we got a lot of faith and confidence in the league, and he's done a lot of great things. So that's a big problem when we have 2 guys who really confident.
Packers locked into the number 7 seed as they get ready to take on the Vikings in Sunday's season finale. They will either visit Chicago or Philadelphia in the first round of the playoffs. It will be the Bears if they beat Detroit. It will be the Eagles if the Bears lose, and the Phillies beat Washington. Kick on Sunday is at noon. Turning to Wisconsin, quarterback Billy Edwards Jr. heading to the transfer portal. He's made just 2 games after getting hurt early in the year. The portal officially opens on Friday.
Yeah, the company only does business in Wisconsin. That's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here. Keep Wisconsin Strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Well, the Bucs back out today with Giannis Antetokounmpo leading the East, and Wisconsin get to face off against Milwaukee tomorrow night at the Kohl Center. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, print.
What you are talking about right now, I think, gets at the crux of what Ed Policy's decision on Matt LaFleur is going to be going into this offseason, which is, and I'm in the camp of, I can't, even Chicago, I can't put that on coaching. What's Rich Bisaccia supposed to do? Go field the onside kick for him? I don't put a lot of this at this point on the coaching because they are without all that talent. That is a real handicap. With that said, this is also why choking in Cleveland, getting an extra point blocked in Dallas, losing against the Carolina Panthers team that might be better. I mean, they might be NFC South good, but that doesn't make them good.
Sure.
That's why these not finishing the deal early in the season matters. It sneaks up and bites you late in the season, and that's where they're at. That you can put on coaching. They have had plenty of opportunities to have a better record at this point in the season when the rubber's hitting the road than they have right now. So it comes down to what's the best option that they have for. I'm with you, Grant. I think that when healthy, this might be the best roster in the league. This is an absolute superstar-studded roster. You need blue-chip talent to make a Super Bowl run. They have it in spades. Is your best option blowing it up and going with a different head coach and having a transformative offseason with all these pieces in place, or is it continuity? I'm kind of in that camp of continuity is the right thing for this moment with this roster, but that's a policy decision. I think that's how you look at it.
Give Baltimore a ton of credit. They came in here and were in complete control of the whole game. It wasn't up to our standard in regards to how we played, how we coached, and that's what happens.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
That's Matt LaFleur's opening comment from his press conference Saturday night after the game. And that 90-second clip, a little long, I'm sorry, but I think it's good. That was Ryan Wood on Friday. For those of you who maybe missed Friday's show, never miss a Friday show. He's broadcasting live at Kai's. But we have Ryan Wood on Friday, thanks to Lacrosse Beer House. And as I mentioned on Friday's show, Ryan kind of opened up that can of beans all by himself. I think I asked him about, this team should be winning the division. Like, they let the season get away from them. And Ryan, kind of unprompted, said, well, and this is why Ed Policy's got a tough decision. I'm like, oh, okay, I wasn't thinking about it that seriously. I wasn't considering, whether or not Matt LaFleur would have to pay for the season with his job. And Ryan gave us that, that comment. And then the Packers got blasted on Saturday night. And I know their offense was good, and Malik Willis was good, but they lost 41-24. They gave up 300-plus yards rushing. So I think the Matt LaFleur discussion, that we've really been having all season long here and there, because he is at the end of his contract after this year. And Ed Policy said, we're not going to have a lame duck coach. You know this. So we've checked in on this story here and there. I think that conversation got a lot more interesting on Saturday night. So I thought that comment from Ryan Wood, germane, appropriate, worthwhile to play it one more time, especially if you missed Ryan's appearance on Friday's show. This is the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. Happy to have you here. Hope you had a great Christmas, a Merry Christmas, a happy holiday. Looking forward to New Year's Day this week. We got one more day off before it's just then back to normal. And then it's just winter. And then it's just like, now there's no Christmas and Thanksgiving, and there's no days off, and there's no food. Now it just sucks outside. So we have one more day off this week. I will be off. Adjust your calendar on Thursday, but I'll be here New Year's Eve. I'll be here Friday, but we will all be off New Year's Day. So I hope your holidays have been good. Your Christmas was merry. Happy to have you back. And I'm excited to talk Packers tonight. And the number is 608-321-1670. I don't even want to call this a de facto postgame show, because I don't think the game itself on Saturday is all that interesting. The current state of the Packers, I find that very interesting. And all of the different storylines and talking points that branch off of that. So I want to take your phone calls throughout the show. But first, a couple opening remarks. I'll give you my take. I find Matt LaFleur's situation the most interesting. Now, Brian Gutekunst is also coming up on the end of his deal, and he's in the same boat that Matt LaFleur is with Ed Policy. Ed Policy says, I'm not going to extend either, and we're not going to have a lame duck. So both of those two men are auditioning for a contract this season. I don't find Brian Gutekunst's situation as interesting as Matt LaFleur. I also bet a lot of you will want to talk about Malik Willis tonight, and that'll be interesting. That'll be cool too. I am most compelled by Matt LaFleur and his job and his contract situation. That's what I find most compelling. So my opening remarks will be centered around that. The Packers could easily finish this season now 9-7-1. Reports initially from Adam Schefter the other night where the Packers are going to rest a bunch of guys in week 18. Matt LaFleur, I don't know that he poo-pooed on that in his presser yesterday. He was like, yeah, I saw some reporting. We haven't decided what we're going to do. They're not going to run their starters out there to get hurt in a meaningless game. So I would expect they'll rest guys. And if they do, and Brian Flores' defense plays the way that it did against Detroit, and maybe one of their quarterbacks, if it's J.J. McCarthy, whoever makes some plays, the Packers could lose at U.S. Bank this weekend. And if they do, they'll finish the regular season 9-7-1. And it will feel like they're trending towards a first-round exit in the playoffs. That feels like where this is headed. I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative. I just don't understand how you could look at the last couple of games and the way that this team is trending, and now a bunch more injuries. Most of those injuries to depth pieces on Saturday night, like Zane Anderson, and is it Jordan Riley, the defensive lineman, and Kamal Haddon, the corner. Like, they didn't lose any superstars on Saturday, although they've already lost a couple of those. But they've just lost depth pieces. It just feels like, again, not trying to be negative, that this team is trending for a 9-7-1 year and a first-round exit in the playoffs. And I think you can make the case that the Packers would then have to move on from Matt LaFleur. I think everything's on the table tonight in terms of discussion on this show. Not from Ed Policy and the Packers. I don't think they're doing anything up in Green Bay tonight. But for this show, for the next 2 hours, I think everything's on the table. If you want to call in and make the case for or against Matt LaFleur, I think it's all reasonable. The case for Malik Willis, I think it's reasonable. A case for or against Brian Gutekunst, I think it's reasonable. Bill, on his show earlier today, he framed it as today is evaluation day or reevaluation day, I think. I think that's good framing. I think it's fair game. Because some days, we get a lot of calls, and it's like, I think Matt LaFleur sucks. I think they should fire him. And if if you listen to Bill's show, every day is a referendum on Matt LaFleur. So we're always judging Matt LaFleur on that program. His callers really love to go at Matt LaFleur. And some days we get calls ripping Matt LaFleur, ripping Jordan Love, or ripping Brian Gutekunst. And most days I'm like, all right, yeah, frustration's warranted, but I think Matt LaFleur's a good coach. I think they should probably extend him. Tonight, I don't know. You can make a pretty good case that this season is trending in a place that's going to cost Matt LaFleur his job. And I can't really argue with you. The case that they should move on from Matt LaFleur can be made pretty simply. I think you can make that case pretty easily. You have all the evidence that's been there already. So for the detractors of Matt LaFleur who have been saying this guy isn't going to win a Super Bowl, he's not going to get us there, they should move on. If you've been saying that the last year, 2, 3, all of that evidence is still there. Going back to the Aaron Rodgers years and some of their shortcomings in the playoffs, there's always just the old reliable card that you can play of, well, he's been here, 7 years now. If a coach doesn't get it done in the first 5 or 6, historically, that coach doesn't get it done. It's not to say that it's impossible, but if you look back through all the history of the NFL and you dig up all the precedent, if a coach doesn't get it done, I think it's the first 4, 5, 6 years, chances are they're not getting it done with that team. Doesn't mean that they can't go elsewhere like Andy Reid has or other coaches have and do it there. But there's not a lot of historical background or precedent to support a coach coaching in one spot for 10 years and winning the Super Bowl in their 10th. Just doesn't happen. So the case against Matt LaFleur, the evidence that's been there is still there. But you can now add to that case, if you want, 3 straight 7 seeds. They have locked into the 7th seed now for the 3rd straight year. No division titles, which I think with Jordan Love, I should say, no division titles with Jordan Love as quarterback, which I think is a huge deal. And I want to talk about that at 5 o'clock, the division specifically. I think that's so telling. I think that's so important. And we'll discuss that later. So put a pin in that, set that to the side. 3 straight 7 seeds, another wild card appearance, no division titles, a handful of inexplicable losses, which has been a theme throughout his tenure, bad special teams, which has been a theme throughout his tenure. I think this year's defense is pretty good. It wasn't on Saturday when they really needed it to be. So you have questions about the sides of the ball that are not coached by Matt LaFleur, a handful of inexplicable losses, another year in the 7th seed, another year of not winning the NFC North. And to me, the worst part, the most damning thing against Matt LaFleur that you could use right now if you wanted to make the case that the Packers and Ed Policy should move on, they have another losing streak in December. They did this last year. What did they finish last year with? 4 straight losses to end the season? Like, I don't know how they recover from this 3-game stretch. I saw Zach Cruz tweet exactly that the other night. And I'm like, yeah, that just kind of sums it up. I don't know that you need details. I don't know that you need statistics. I think you can just look at these last 3 games and say, how does a team bounce back from this? And if the team doesn't bounce back from this and they're bounced in the first round, I don't know how Matt LaFleur bounces back from this. Now, maybe Ed Policy just loves the guy and he's going to extend him anyways. And this whole season and this conversation has just been one ongoing charade. Not on Sports Talk Radio. We would never have conversations that aren't deeply meaningful. But I don't know how this team in 2025 recovers from this 3-game stretch. And if they don't recover from this 3-game stretch, I don't know how Matt LaFleur recovers and gets a contract extension. Andy Herman tweeted the other night, and I had to bookmark it. The Packers are on pace to go 10-3-1 with a healthy Micah Parsons. Ever since then, the Packers have been outscored 76-43 and are about to move to 9-6-1 on the season. This was during the game the other night. Thank the Vikings and Lions collapse that's worse than the Packers for the final playoff spot. I kind of agree with all of that. This season feels like it's trending towards 9-7-1 or 10-6-1, but even that 10th win wouldn't feel all that meaningful because it's in a meaningless game. So maybe the loss shouldn't feel that. Maybe we just shouldn't care about this Sunday's game. Maybe we should just say 9-6-1. That's kind of how the season ends. And that 9-6-1 with all the injuries and all the negative momentum now kind of feels like a first round exit. And if that's where this thing ends up, I think I might be with the fire Matt LaFleur people. And it's not necessarily I want him fired and I want his head on a spike outside of Lambeau. It's probably time. The contract is up and it feels like this thing has run its course. Now, the reason why I think the Packers situation is currently so interesting and why I think this is going to be a great week of Sports Talk Radio is I think you can also make the case to keep him and extend him, even if they lose on Sunday. And even if let's say they go to Philly and they play a competitive game and lose in the first round. I think you could also make the case to keep him. I think that case got weaker on Saturday night, but I think the case still exists. His best 3 non-quarterback players got hurt. Micah Parsons, Tucker Kraft, Christian Watson in a huge game, and Zach Tom in a bunch of big moments too. So maybe you could argue their 4 best non-quarterbacks were all injured this year, either permanently or for long stretches or for important games. Oh yeah, and then also his quarterback got hurt on top of it. And I know we all like Malik Willis, but it's still a backup. Like if I was a head coach and I lost my best pass catcher, my generational pass rusher, my right tackle, the other best pass catcher, and then my quarterback goes down, I'm like, you guys, I know Malik Willis is good, but what do you want me to do? They truly looked, I believe this, they truly looked like they were about to turn it on in the third quarter of that Broncos game. I thought, here they go. They're about to run away with this game and be their best version of their best selves at the best time. And they might be the best team in the NFC. They might just be the best team in football. And here they go. And then it all came crashing down. And even with that crash in Denver, if his wide receiver catches an onside kick in Chicago, I think we come away from that game saying that's a 10 out of 10 signature win from Matt LaFleur. I don't know how you could get a better win as a head coach, at least in the regular season. Quarterback's hurt. short week, just lost a generational player on your defense on the road against a team that's been dying to beat you for 3 decades. Their crowd is charged up, and you went in there with the back, not planning to have your backup, but now you got to coach your backup after your starter gets hurt, and you win. That's a 10 out of 10 signature feather in a coach's cap. That would have been massive, and he doesn't get it. Why? Because his most veteran wide receiver, you could argue his most trustworthy wide receiver, can't field an onside kick that bounced right to him. Like, I have a hard time hanging that around Matt LaFleur's neck. It's not a bad case to keep Matt LaFleur. I think that case got flimsier on Saturday night. That's a team that just didn't show up. And that was Matt LaFleur's evaluation of the thing coming out of halftime. I don't know if you saw, if you were watching on Peacock, another Noah Eagle Peacock game. Although I prefer Peacock to the Netflix situation on Christmas Day, because that whole thing just felt like one big Stranger Things infomercial from dawn until dusk. Like, that's just what that was. But he talked to the sideline reporter on Peacock, and he's like, our guys need to show more heart. He straight up said, my guys need to try harder and lock in. Like, it was clear to Matt LaFleur, he explicitly said it to the broadcast, my guys aren't locked in. They aren't playing hard enough. That's how they showed up. That's how they came on Saturday night. So I think the case to keep Matt LaFleur or extend him, while it was good, while it was solid, it wasn't a slam dunk. I think it got a lot flimsier on Saturday night. And I know a lot of people say, well, Matt LaFleur's great. Just look at what he's done with Malik Willis. Yeah, I agree. He's looked really good with a backup quarterback, and I think that's a mark of a very good coach. But guess what? Like, coaching a quarterback is only a small part, and I shouldn't say small part. It's a big part, but it is only a part of the job of an NFL head coach. Like, I'm not going to keep a head coach just because he shows out when he has to face a little adversity at quarterback. Like, that's what an offensive coordinator can be for. You know what I mean? Well, if you think Matt LaFleur's a bad coach, you must not be watching. Look at what he's doing with Malik Willis. That's only a part of what a head coach is responsible for. The job of a head coach is to win games, and at times they've really shown an inability to do that and make winning plays in 4 or 5 games this year when they had to have them. They couldn't do it. A coach's job is to win games, win divisions, and then win games in December and January. They haven't been able to close out games that they've had to have this year, going all the way back to Cleveland and Dallas and Carolina and Philly and Chicago. They're going to be a wild card again, which I think is so damning, and we'll talk about that in hour number 2. The division is important to me. And then you got to win your games in December and January, and for the second straight year, they're riding a losing streak going into the postseason. So I think you can make the case for or against Matt LaFleur today. I'm interested to hear both. I feel like most cases that we're going to get on the phone line will be to move on. But if anyone wants to defend the guy, and there's plenty of reasons to defend the guy, a lot of those reasons started to get a lot weaker, it feels like, with that loss on Saturday night. So I'll take your calls next. If you want to talk Packers, there's a lot on the table. I want to get to Malik Willis at 4:35, so I'll give you some thoughts on that at the bottom of this hour. But it's all on the table for you when we come back. 608-321-1670. We'll talk Packers after the debacle 41-24 loss on Saturday night. To you and your phone calls right after this.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Visco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Visco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
At the end of the day, it's a team sport, and that's frustrating to walk away from. That hurts. We have a lot to play for right now. It felt like we came out complacent. So we talked about it after the game. We're gonna have to look in the mirror, and a lot of soul searching. And I'm confident this team will come back together, and we're gonna play. We're gonna play for something here to finish out the season.
That's Lucas Van Ness. I actually thought played pretty darn well on Saturday night. He was about the only one on that defense who didn't play like crap or get hurt. Not to laugh, but a lot of guys got hurt as well. Weird combination of comments from lots of players in the postgame, and Mike Clemens sent me so many comments, so I'll work them into the show. A lot of, we still have a lot to play for, okay? But then also a lot of, well, we came out complacent. Okay, well, those two things aren't supposed to go hand in hand, man. Okay. Weird, bizarre. And also, by the way, had the Packers won on Saturday night, there'd be a pretty great chance that they're playing for a division title this weekend, because then all that has to happen is the Lions lose to the Bears and the Packers beat the Vikings. Like, they've just had countless opportunities to try to win this decision, and they won't do it. So to your phone call, 608-321-1670 as promised. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Denny, is that you?
Yes, me. Yes, sir. So basically, I think you know what side of the rail I'm going to be on. But anyway, I think LaFleur got another nail in his coffin Saturday night when he went for it on a 30-yard line. I don't think that was a very wise decision at that time of the game. And also, whose job is it to get the players ready if it's not the coach? Yeah. Too many times we heard him defend Bisaccia. And I even said this to Bill last August. I said, Bill, Bisaccia could cost LaFleur, him and Gutekunst's job, because to me, Gutekunst this year, he did not really fill in a lot of the holes that we had. The two busts that we had, I think Banks and Hobbs, I didn't think played very well. And it was just, to me, it's when you get a new coach, when you get a new GM, when you get a new president like we do now with policy, I really think he's going to clean house on both of them.
Yeah, I guess we have no way of knowing. He might have some personal backgrounds or biases on either one of these guys. I'm not sure, Denny. That's a good call. I mean, go for it, dude. Your defense can't get a stop, so I don't mind them going for it. Maybe I'm a football simpleton. I don't know. Never coached. I don't grind the old 22. Gun runs on fourth down. It feels like every opponent the Packers play know that an inside zone read or some sort of shotgun run's coming on third, fourth, and short. So I don't have a problem with going for it. Malik Willis was slinging the thing. He barely had the ball. They're supposed to punt it away. Like, I don't have a problem with that, Denny. The play call or the execution, whatever. I don't want to put all the struggles of this team on Banks and Hobbs. Those guys were supposed to come in and be nice depth pieces, right? Like, if Xavier McKinney catches 3 or 4 interceptions this year, he's supposed to have, like, does the Hobbs signing feel that bad? Does the secondary feel that bad? No, like, that probably changed. Like, I'm looking at McKinney and Cooper and Gary and Hafley. By the way, he deserves to get barbecued this week. I know he's probably going to give a banger of a press conference later this week, but that dude, he doesn't have Micah Parsons. Okay, so Xavier McKinney and Edgerrin Cooper and Javon Bullard and Evan Williams, like, those guys that doesn't matter. There's no level of expectation to be competent now that Micah Parsons is gone, which, by the way, is what I told you last week. I said, hey, if this defense goes in the tank, like, it's not just, well, they don't have Micah. What do you want? There's a bunch of good players on this defense. And not only did they show up and play like crap, they didn't look engaged. Like, horrible look for Hafley as a defensive coordinator. Now, we talk about LaFleur because he's the head coach, And the story this year has been, has he earned another contract extension? That's where I start. But let me make it abundantly clear. Jeff Hafley deserves to be slammed this week. He should be. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Bah, humbug.
Dave from Monona. Hello, Dave.
Well, I'm glad this holiday is over. A bunch of greedy, selfish individuals, God, everybody with their hand out on Thursday. But, anybody who's going to call and defend if this coach should get another chance, first of all, don't run a business. You probably come from a family who's declared bankruptcy 12 times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but first of all, you don't go for it, Grant. The first quarter is on 35-yard line. Okay, but you go with the shotgun.
That's my
fourth and inches.
It's the play.
And you're in the shotgun, and the whole world know what the play was.
I agree.
And then he snaps in the center, snaps the ball off Willis's helmet.
Yeah, Sean Ryan needs to get better at snapping the ball. That's an important part of playing the center position.
But they're dead last in every category. And when's the last time this team had a turnover? What? I think the last time they did when they all went to have breakfast at Denny's. They all had apple and raspberry turnovers. They sure the hell ain't done it during the game last. And one sack the last 4 weeks. People, that's all you need to know about Matt LaFleur. They're going to get crushed on Sunday. They're going to play the Bears. And if I got to hear one more of my customers shoot their piles off, I'm going to scream. But it's time for a change. You can't continue to have the same mistakes, people. Don't defend them. I mean, it's like Luke Fickell. Don't defend. The past history dictates future behavior. But, yeah, that was tough Saturday night. And if I'm running a business, Grant, and I heard my owner, my president, my company, halftime say, my players aren't playing hard, they're tough, I'm firing him on the spot.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
It's a reflection of the head coach. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, and then Matt LaFleur in his presser yesterday, Dave, we just got loaded phone line, so I'm going to move along. Thanks for the call. He said in his press conference yesterday, we had guys miss a line and they're playing the wrong. So what did you guys do well on Saturday? You're still alive for the division, which you should have already won, by the way, which I said over and over again on Friday's show. This is the whole theme of Friday's show is like, guys, this team's going to make the playoffs. They'd clinched the day before because we were talking about this on Friday the 26th, and they clinched on Christmas because the Lions lost to the Vikings. But like, they should have already won this division, but they're still alive. They'd still be alive this week. They showed up lethargic and complacent, and it would be one thing if they didn't have any energy, but they were all in the right spots, but they weren't in the right spots, at least according to what Matt LaFleur said yesterday. It's like, what did you guys do all week? With what intention did you say? This is why you need like a random radio hack like me at every press conference, because I would just ask the stupid, simple question, like at Jeff Hafley's presser on Thursday or whenever he speaks this week. I just be like, so Jeff, you knew you were playing Derrick Henry. Like, what was the idea coming? What was the plan here? What did you drawn up this week? Because it looks like nothing. Like, were you just hanging out? Like, I don't get it. But that's a reflection of the head coach, Dave. So I don't know that I don't know that I've fully decided fire Matt LaFleur. But again, as I said to begin the show, I think my take is today that feels like where this is headed if the team keeps trending this way. I mean, they're going to finish the season. If they don't win on Sunday, which is a meaningless game, and they're going to sit a bunch of guys, they're going to finish the season 9-7-1 and probably get bounced in the first round. Injuries aside, man, a lot of those losses earlier this year happened when you were healthy and had no excuse to lose some of those games. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, this is Ron.
Hey, Ron. What's going on?
Upset, but I'll get over it.
Okay.
The team showed no guts, especially the defense. It was like watching the defense like Swiss cheese Saturday night, and I put that on the coaches, and especially the defense should have been ready to play. And
here's what I don't get, Ron. Did you watch Sunday Night Football last night? Did you see any of what happened with the Bears and the Niners?
Yes.
Here's what I don't get. The Jeff Hafley's same defense a week ago on less rest, like, clamped that Bears offense for 58 minutes. And I know they gave it up at the end, but like, that defense looked unbelievable a week ago against a team that couldn't be stopped last night until the end. Caleb Williams. What happened in a week? Why did the wheels completely fall off? It would be one thing like going back to the Broncos, like if they got ran over by the Bears last weekend. Like, Saturday wouldn't have been so surprising. Like, the wheels have fallen off on defense. Jeff Hafley doesn't know what to do without Micah Parsons. But I saw them do it a week ago. So what happened?
I don't know, but they knew that Baltimore was going to run the ball. They knew Henry was going to get the ball 80% of the time. So to me, lack of preparation and part of it, no guts. But the preparation part, I blame the coaches.
Yeah. Your players not showing up and being locked in and ready to go and misaligned, as Matt LaFleur said yesterday. Maybe I'll play you that cut in the next segment. I just don't get it. Because again, if they had gone down to Chicago a week and a half ago now, or whenever, a little bit more than a week ago Saturday, and they were blown off the ball, and the Bears ran it down their throat for 180 or 200 combined yards, which is still a lot, not even close to what they gave up on Saturday to Derrick Henry and the Ravens. Well, let's say they go to Chicago, they blasted, they lose 35 to 27, and the defense can't get off the field. Well, then Saturday would have been par for the course. I would have been shocked by Saturday. Well, they stink now without Micah Parsons, clearly, which is ridiculous because Jeff Hafley still has a bunch of good players on that defense, but I digress. But they looked great a week and 2 days ago. What happened? How did you get worse? You should have technically gotten better. You have more time in a post-Micah Parsons world to figure it out. And you're playing a backup quarterback at home. I don't get it. So Jeff Hafley, he's going to come out to the press conference and fall on it, and everyone's going to, he's taking accountability. That's a coach. It's funny. We're going to get a lot of people today. They should fire LaFleur and hire Jeff Hafley. I didn't see anything on Saturday night where it's like, yeah, that guy should be in charge of my team. Jeff Hafley. All right, 2 more calls here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Oh, Grant, what a setup. What a segue.
I figured you might call this segment, so I wanted to make sure that I got the anti-Hafley sentiment out there so you didn't call in and cook me for not saying anything about Jeff Hafley.
Well, a lot of the listeners listening right now, right, wouldn't believe it, but this defense, having Micah Parsons for 3/4 of a season, is on pace to give up more points per game and finish with like 12 fewer sacks than the defense that these callers listening right now wanted to punt a defensive coordinator into the sun for.
Mm-hmm.
So again, someone's got to explain to me, like I'm 12, how does a defense that gives up more points per game, forces the same number of turnovers? And by the way, I wouldn't say the Vikings, who they had to play twice this year, are an offensive juggernaut like they were back then.
Nope.
I don't think the NFC East has really been that good. They really haven't played anybody. 2023, they had the AFC West. They had to play Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. They had a lot of good teams that they were playing. And I just don't know how you can look at this defense and say, without Micah Parsons, which is, again, you and I have talked about this a ton, like this defense is very average. And again, a lot of the callers listening right now went crazy in 2023. How is Rashawn getting this defense? Has Rashawn Gary? How are they not top 5? Top 10's not good enough. Are you kidding me?
Well, they've added, and
Valentine.
I've seen you tweet about this. They've added Xavier McKinney and Edgerrin Cooper, Javon Bullard, Evan Williams. These are all players that are better than the players they had 2 years ago.
And those players are playing, except for Micah Parsons. Mm-hmm. Now, the big thing, they're missing Devontae Wyatt, which I think is huge, and they're missing Kenny Clark in the middle, which there were. I remember when I took a trip to MSP, my Uber driver, Cowboys fans, he was chuckling, and he goes, you guys gave us a run stuffer right as the league went to a running ball. And there's something to that. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. I think you should be able to scheme around that. But the fact that this defense is going to finish with 12 fewer sacks, the same number of turnovers, and more points per game is just ridiculous. And I don't know how the podcasters can turn around and claw back all the glazing of Jeff Hafley over the offseason. So I'm excited to hear the commentary. I agree with you. Probably looking at a first-round exit. That's fine. A lot of injuries. But this should be better. And sometimes you just need to, you hear this a lot in sports, just refresh the coaching messaging. And Matt LaFleur is a damn good OC, but maybe a refresh. Maybe we can get away with analytics. Why weren't they ready? Because they're focused on EPA per play instead of winning a damn football game. That's what it looks like on the field, Grant.
So that might be what it looks like. I have a hard time believing, good call back about John. I have a hard time believing they're in meetings saying, well, how do we optimize our EPA per play? But I get what you mean. I totally get what you mean. And the thing on Matt LaFleur, here's what I hear a lot. And I like Matt LaFleur. I don't think I've ever stated on the show that they should fire him or they move on. It's something we talk about, but when have you ever heard me have an axe to grind with Matt LaFleur? Like, it hasn't been my stance. I think he's good. But what I hear a lot from national people, like I think of Sam Monson who does the podcast with Steve Palazzolo, or like Dalton Wasserman, Trevor Sikkema. These are like podcasters with PFF or Monson and Palazzolo, former PFF guys who talk about all the games and all the teams. They're not biased to one or two, or they're not focused on one or two. I hear a lot. I can't believe Packers fans are turning on Matt LaFleur. Look at what he's done with Malik Willis. I agree that it's impressive, and I want a coach that can coach up a backup quarterback. But guess what? That's just a part of what a head coach needs to do. The head coach needs to hire good assistants and make sure the other sides of the ball are good and motivate players and get them up to play and in-game management and like all this stuff. So just because Matt LaFleur has coached up Malik Willis does not mean that he's beyond criticism. But I hear that a lot. Like that's an offensive coordinator thing. Like look at what Josh McDaniels has done with Drake May. I agree. But that's all that Josh McDaniels is responsible for is the offense and the performance of his quarterback. Where Vrabel has to, and I'm not trying to compare Vrabel and Matt LaFleur. They're very different coaches. Although they work together, Vrabel wanted to fire Matt LaFleur for whatever that's worth. I also think he sucks at hiring offensive coordinators. But again, now we're off the rails. One more call here, and then I got to take a break. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, this is Tyson from Madison.
Hey, Tyson. What's up?
Hey, so I think that my point kind of goes right into what you're talking about. I think it's a matter. Matt LaFleur is a great coach, and I think that he's got a lot that he is really good at. But I think he spends so much time, and I heard an interview with him on talking with the boys on the bus or whatever, and he talks about how he'd work all night long and have to do all-nighters. And I just feel like he puts a lot of time into his scheme, and he's used to spending all of his time on his scheme. And I think that what you're missing in that is maybe like the motivation part of the coaching has always been lacking. And because that's lacking, that hole gets filled usually probably by the players. And what I saw in this game that we just watched was that the defense got a major boost by one of their own, another one going on the cart, someone who really had heart. They're really excited about this new player on the team. And to see that his season's done seemed to like give us energy in a way that we got the first stop in the game when we couldn't get any stops, against this team. So I think that they're clearly playing for each other, which is a cool thing, but it also tells me that like that's where the motivation comes from.
Sure.
That the scheme comes from the coach, the details come from the coaches, the motivation comes from I don't know.
Tyson, I'm losing you a little bit, so I'm going to let you go. And I'm going to cut you off there and stop you there. With the motivation thing, there is a limit for how much I will talk about a coach and his ability to get guys to play for him, because this is the NFL. If you're not playing your life out every snap to better your career and to stay alive and to get a contract, I can't help you. If you're not trying to win every game and play your ass off for your teammates, I can't help you. I don't think it's Matt LaFleur's job to wave pom-poms and kiss all his players on the mouth before the game to get them to play hard. But I look at a game like Saturday when you're very much alive in the division that you should have already won, and guys show up and they're like, okay, I can't just say, well, what is Matt LaFleur supposed to do? Sing him a song? Maybe, I don't know. That's a reflection of coaching me. I'll get right back to your phone calls on the other side. At 5 o'clock, I want to talk about the division and why I think it's damning that the Packers are a wild card yet again. And I think it says something about the state of the team and the coaching staff, but more from you on the other side. We haven't even really talked about Malik Willis yet, so we'll get into that as well.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. This sports show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Right, when he touched that ball, I was like, yeah, they not ready. They not ready. And he ran straight downhill. Our linemen blocked. Our tight ends, receivers, they blocked. And then, and everybody executed. So.
That is Tyler Huntley after the game when asked, what did you see when you handed the ball off to Derrick Henry? And he said, they weren't ready. I think the Ravens came into this game, they're not. They have no appetite for dealing with this. So we're talking about Matt LaFleur because that's been the ongoing discussion this year. Through good stretches and bad stretches, we've circled back to the offseason when Ed Policy said, not extending Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, and I'm not going to let him be a lame duck. So this is the year. They have to show it. They have to earn a contract. So we've circled back and we keep revisiting that. So we're doing that today because it feels like the Packers are headed toward the first-round exit. This weekend's game is meaningless, so they're either finishing the season 10-6-1 or 9-7-1. Maybe the difference between the two should functionally be 0, but let's just say they only win 9 games and they lose in the first round. Like, at that point, like, if Ed Policy's going to bring Matt LaFleur back after that, he should have just done it before the season, because it was clear that, like, he was bringing him back almost no matter what. What did they need to miss the playoffs? What's the difference between missing the playoffs and losing in the first round? Unless he thinks the injuries have been that bad, but I think he's smarter than that. They didn't lose to Cleveland or Carolina or Dallas or Philly or Chicago because of injuries. They couldn't execute. They couldn't make winning plays. So we're talking about Matt LaFleur. We can also talk about Jeff Hafley, who deserves to get a mountain of criticism this week. Malik Willis, Jordan Love, there's that thing. Also, no, I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to save that for hour number 2. Right back to your phone call, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Evening, Grant. This is Tim from Sparta.
Evening, Tim in Sparta.
How are you doing? I hope your Christmas was a wonderful event.
Yours as well.
It was. I ate too much, drank too little, had too much fun.
Hell yeah.
So, to get right to it, I think you know which side I'm coming down on.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for the floor to go. You cannot lose the games you lost this year because either your offense was disinterested or your defense was disinterested. You can't have 7 years of this, and this being the best year, where your special teams doesn't completely suck. It just sucks.
Yeah.
So, you know, say what you will about LaFleur's play calling, about his offensive scheme. You can say lots of good things. As I've said, I think he is a tremendous offensive coordinator, but he is not a head coach. And we've seen over and over and over again this scenario play out. There's all kinds of people that have specialized tremendously, you know, in either offense or defense, but it doesn't translate to the whole team. And I think that's the case. And as far as Vagabond is concerned, give up Joe Barry. He sucked. He sucked. He will always suck.
All right.
Well, like the Bears. Just give it up. Your statistics, 4 out of 5 criminals drank milk as a child. Therefore, milk causes people to be criminals. Sorry, I can make statistics say what I want them to say.
I mean, it sounds like you have some compelling data there, Tim. I got to run. I appreciate it. Look, for some coaches, it translates. Some coaches are schematic wizards and also really high-level head coaches. I think Matt LaFleur is a good football coach. I think there's times where he's great. I think there's times where he has bad moments. And it just seems like now, in whatever this is, year 7, like, it seems like those moments aren't going away. You can just bake into every season that they're going to lose 3 or 4 games because they can't execute in the biggest moments or they no-show. And it's going to be really hard to win a division and get out of the 7th seed, which they haven't been able to do. And if you can't win the division and get out of the 7th seed, it's really hard to win playoff games. Like, that's just how it's set up. So I think Matt LaFleur is very good. I think there's lots of very good coaches. Very good coaches don't win Super Bowls unless their team is unbelievable. And had the Packers stayed healthy this year, maybe. Like, I think that was on the board. But in their current state, I don't think this roster is unbelievable. I don't think they're coach-proof like the Eagles were last year, because I don't think Sirianni's anything great. Coordinator's pretty good, though. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's that?
Bobby and Chitek, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Bobby. What's up?
Well, I want to talk about what you said about Jeff Hafley, how you would not trust him to be the head coach.
Well, let me put it this way. This would not be the week that I'd bang the drum to make him head coach. Put it that way. Maybe he'd make a good head coach. I don't know. This is not the week where I'd be like, we should hire Jeff Hafley. I don't know how you could say that after Saturday.
Well, I wouldn't trust that guy to be the fry cook at a Culver's and lead that team.
They let 14-year-olds do that. Or they let 14-year-olds work the front counter or something like that. Maybe not the grill.
Exactly. But I do want to say that Malik, I think, is not better, but more accurate than Jordan Love. You played phenomenally.
He did.
And then I think I know who the Packers are going to hire when they fire LaFleur.
Who's that?
John Gruden.
Yeah. I don't
He
see
has a relationship with Josh Jacobs.
Oh, who cares?
And he's been with the Packers before, and he's won a Super Bowl with the Packers.
So that's true. He does have that background from back in the day. Bobby, I appreciate the call. Who cares about their connection with the running back? Well, he knows Keyshawn Nixon, too. Nixon was on the Raiders. Maybe. I actually don't know if that's true, but I don't care about that thing. We're not doing the – I've got a couple texts, by the way. We're not doing the, well, who would you want them to hire thing today. That's what we'll do in the offseason if they change coaches, which we don't know. We're just talking about what they could or shouldn't or should do. So different conversation. I think Hafley's good. This would be an odd week to make the case that he should replace Matt LaFleur should Matt LaFleur be fired, because his defense completely no-showed. Not just from an energy perspective, but from a schematic. They were in the wrong spot consistently. They were playing poor technique consistently. I don't know. So to give Jeff Hafley a pass this week, or not even give him a pass, but to not even point out the fact that his unit sucked, and that's a direct reflection of him on Saturday, I think that's unfair analysis. One more call here, then we'll take our last break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hello, Grant.
Hello. Who's this?
And I'm nobody. I'm nobody.
Okay. All right.
No, nobody you know. I'm not a regular caller. I'm just Greg. I'm just a fella. But anyways, hey, I'm not Matt LaFleur apologist, but I want to just say that the NFL is so evenly, it's so even. All the teams are so even for the most part in general, that the Packers could just as easy be 12-4 right now with 3 plays. You know the 3 plays I'm thinking of. I'm blocked. Okay.
Yeah.
And the line, I watched a fair amount of Chicago Bears games this year. They in the same boat. They could be 8-8 just as easy as the Packers could be 12-4. So point being is that's how slim these margins are between first and second and third place in any division. It's that close, and that's why I'm not putting this on Matt LaFleur.
Sure. So look, I wouldn't put any of these losses individually on Matt LaFleur. I appreciate the call, Greg. It's more big picture that his team is never the team making those 3 or 4 plays needed to win these games. Like, yeah, the Packers could easily be 12 and whatever, and the Bears could easily be 8 or 9 and whatever, but they're not. And it's not just because they go out to midfield and flip a coin. It's because the football teams go onto the field and have to make plays one way or another. And the Packers just consistently haven't in these spots. They found a way to lose games instead of finding ways to win them. And that's kind of been a theme, man. Like that's been a little bit of a theme with Matt LaFleur. So I'm not saying that any one of these individual moments are a direct reflection of the coach, but the body of work as a whole after 6 or 7 years completely is. We'll take a break. I'll give you a couple random thoughts to round out this hour. And then I want to talk about the division. I want to talk about why this Packers team being the 7th seed is not just a bad thing because it's hard to win as a 7th seed, but also it's a reflection of how this team and this program really hasn't been good enough. We'll do that at 5 o'clock.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, got a couple minutes here before 5 o'clock. We'll get an update from Zach. We'll come back and begin hour number 2. I want to talk about the division and what winning a division actually means. Packers were the 7th seed for the 3rd straight year, which makes it difficult to win because you got to go on the road and you got to play more games. But also, like, not winning the division consistently just tells you some big picture things about the state of your team and your coaching staff that I think are worth discussing. 90 seconds. 120 seconds tops. We got 2 minutes. Can I just say something? So there was some Badgers news today. Billy Edwards Jr. announced that he will be transferring, which, why is anyone surprised by this? Why is anyone reacting strongly to this? I don't know. But I see a lot of people. So I saw the Badger Barstool account flipping out over this. And then I saw Travis Wilson, who is the beacon of journalistic integrity until it's time for him to not be. And then all of a sudden, how dare you question or critique him because he'll block you. He tweeted upon this breaking news from Pete Thamel, Luke Fickell's buddy. Travis Wilson tweeted, so he took the NIL money, saw how things were going to go, sat out most of the year rather than come back, and will try to hit the jackpot again next year. Talk about frauds. I don't understand. This was reported on extensively in mid-November by Colton Bartholomew and other State Journal. Badger Extra was all over this. He had a PCL sprain, if I remember correctly, that he tried to come back from constantly, and it would swell up and it would be an issue. Like, this has been reported. There's no mystery. Like, people are looking at this like, oh, so he's transferring? I guess he was never really hurt. Like, no, he would. You guys, there's reporters that cover this stuff and write about this stuff for you to consume and read. The biggest perpetrator in all this, you know who's to blame for the Billy Edwards Jr. saga? Is Luke Fickell, because he, again, told Pete Thamel, because he's got to run. I mean, he's the Chris Haynes to the Badgers' Damian Lillard. He runs to Pete Thamel and said, oh, yeah, Billy Edwards Jr., that injury is not significant. He'll be back. It's not a big deal. And it was a big deal. So fans are wondering, well, Luke Fickell said this. Why isn't he back yet? And then, of course, there's no way to clear it up because injured players aren't allowed to talk to the media. So I saw a bunch of people today like, well, Billy Edwards Jr. hid from the media all year. Because that's how it works with injured players. I don't get it. So this entire year was actually pretty unfair to Billy Edwards Jr. And I'm the one who can't stand when these guys get cut an NIL check, don't contribute anything, and then just dip in a year. Some of you people just follow the team. Me, I'm the one telling you this. Follow a little closer. Hour 2, I want to talk about the Packers and the division next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers regrouping after an ugly effort, especially on defense on Saturday night against the Ravens. It has them at 9-6-1 on the year, locked into the number 7 seed in the NFC playoffs. Being able to head to either Chicago or Philadelphia in the first round of the playoffs. Well, then, they have another game to play. This one at Minnesota will do so beat up after losing a bunch of players to injury on Saturday. Matt LaFleur says that definitely affects how they will have to approach Sunday's game.
Everything factors in. So, yeah, we'll make the decision that we feel is best moving forward, regardless of anything. Whether you mess certain individuals, you're kind of limited, especially our situation right now, the number of injuries that occurred. Guys are going to have to play ball. And so they better approach it in such a way that they're getting their mind ready to go play ball.
LaFleur also said that Jordan Love will be the team's quarterback when he's cleared through the concussion protocol. Malik Willis has played very well the last 2 weeks, throwing more than 400 yards, couple of touchdowns, also ran for 2 more. Packers and Vikings on Sunday, kick slated for noon. Turning to Wisconsin, transfer portal opens officially on Friday. There are currently 15 players slated to transfer out, with more expected.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here. Keep Wisconsin Strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Well, the Bucs are in Charlotte. It's where they're going to face off against the Hornets tonight. Milwaukee coming in off the return of Giannis Antetokounmpo and a win in Chicago. And Wisconsin going to be back in action tomorrow as they take on Milwaukee at the Kohl Center. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
What you are talking about right now, I think, gets at the crux of what Ed Policy's decision on Matt LaFleur is going to be going into this offseason, which is, and I'm in the camp of, I can't, even Chicago, I can't put that on coaching. What's Rich Bisaccia supposed to do? Go field the onside kick for him? I don't put a lot of this at this point on the coaching because they are without all that talent. That is a real handicap. With that said, this is also why choking in Cleveland, getting an extra point blocked in Dallas, losing against the Carolina Panthers team that might be better. I mean, they might be NFC South good, but that doesn't make them good.
Sure.
That's why these not finishing the deal early in the season matters. It sneaks up and bites you late in the season, and that's where they're at. That you can put on coaching. They have had plenty of opportunities to have a better record at this point in the season when the rubber's hitting the road than they have right now. So it comes down to what's the best option that they have for. I'm with you, Grant. I think when healthy, this might be the best roster in the league. This is an absolute superstar-studded roster. You need blue-chip talent to make a Super Bowl run. They have it in spades. Is your best option blowing it up and going with a different head coach and having a transformative offseason with all these pieces in place, or is it continuity? I'm kind of in that camp of continuity is the right thing for this moment with this roster, but that's a policy decision. I think that's how you look at it.
Give Baltimore a ton of credit. They came in here and were in complete control the whole game. It wasn't up to our standard in regards to how we played, how we coached, and that's what happens.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2. Appreciate Zach for that update. The Monday mailbag in about 45 minutes. By the way, a couple of questions already in there. A couple of things worth discussing. GrantBills21@gmail.com. If you have anything that you would like to discuss, or you would like me to discuss, I guess, the final 10 minutes of the show. I want to spend a couple of minutes just talking about the Packers and their inability to win the division. This is something that I marked down specifically that I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about. Because the Packers are the 7th seed again. And not all wild card berths are the same. Look at the NFC West. I don't have the standings in front of me, but I know the Niners just won their 12th game last night. And I believe the Rams and the Seahawks both at least have 11 or 12 wins. Let me just double check. So 2 of these teams are going to be wild card teams, we assume. I don't know exactly the final. I don't spend time with my brain saying, okay, if this team wins this week, I'll just, when the playoff field is set, it'll be set and then I'll talk about it. I don't need to know every little machination of how this is going to work. But the NFC West, the Seahawks have 13 wins. The Niners have 12. The Rams have 11. If the Rams end up as a wild card, their fans should not look at Sean McVay and think, this guy can't win the division. Like that division with 11 or 12 wins at the end of the year, sometimes that's the way that the world works. Sometimes them's the breaks, right? So being a wild card is not like an embarrassing, awful, pathetic thing. You're in the playoffs. Sometimes your division is loaded. Sometimes you have injuries. Sometimes you have bad luck. The Packers are 9-6-1. And as I explained in detail on Friday, it was my opening take. This team should have won the North already. They peed games away against Cleveland and Carolina and Dallas and Philly. Like all of these games were there to be won. They couldn't do it. Then they peed. The worst one was the Bears. a week and a couple of days ago. Field an onside kick, for goodness sake. Denver, okay. Well, they got injured. Okay, we can chalk that up to injuries. The point is, they've left probably 3 wins on the table, one of them against the Bears, which puts them at 12 wins and puts the Bears at 10. They win this division. They sweep the Bears. They should have won this division already. And the fact that they haven't, even with the injuries, is an indictment on everyone involved. Players, coaches, coordinator, everybody. This wild card is not the same as the Rams getting a wild card. The Rams are going to win 12 games, or the Seahawks or the Niners are going to win 13 or 12 games. The Niners could win 14 games. Excuse me, the Seahawks could win 14 games. And I don't know who they have this weekend again. I don't care. We'll maybe talk about that on Friday if that's interesting and that's important, which I doubt, but maybe. Like, if the Niners win 13 games and get a wild card, I guess, what do you do? The Packers going 9-6-1 or 9-7-1 and getting a wild card is an indictment. And it would be one thing had they won the division last year, but they didn't. And it would be another, well, okay, but 2 years ago they'd won the division, and they didn't. This team has now been the 7th seed for 3 years in a row. And again, not the 7th seed in a loaded, unwinnable division, although the division's been pretty solid. Let me ask you this question. What does winning the division mean? Assume you play in a normal division. The Eagles, I think, are in a normalish division. They're going to win 11 or 12 games and win the division. I think the Packers win this division. I think it's a normal division. 11 or 12 wins is going to win it. That's a normal division. Looking at the AFC, what's the best one? The Patriots are in a somewhat normal division. Now, their schedule sucks, but they're going to win 13, maybe 14 games. That's a normal division. The NFC West is not a normal division. That's 13 wins, 12 wins, 11 wins. Like, that's pretty crazy. The Bears are winning a normal division. 11, 12 wins is going to get the job done. Winning a normal division, to me, means from start to finish of the season, you played a consistent, high level of football. You didn't step on it 2 or 3 times. You didn't blow it 2 or 3 times. You played a high level of consistent football start to finish. That's what it takes to win a division. You can't have a month where you go down the tubes. You can't, as the Packers have done this year, have 3 or 4 games that you've completely blown, right? You can't start slow. You can't start, 0-3 to begin the year like the Texans. The Texans started 0-3, I believe. And they're probably going to lose this division to the Jaguars because of it. I think the Texans are just about as likely as any team in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl, but they're not going to win their division. Why? Because they started 0-3. They started slow. You can't start slow. You can't finish weak. You can't have a bad month. You can't have 3 or 4 games that you completely and totally blow. Otherwise, wild card. Doesn't mean you're a bad team. Doesn't mean that you couldn't get in as a high-level wild card and make a run. It does happen. But to win a division means you are, for 3 or 4 months, playing a high level of consistent football. You're not starting slow. You're not ending weakly like the Packers are. You're not blowing games here and there that you shouldn't be blowing. That's what it means to win the division. And the fact that the Packers haven't done that in any of Jordan Love's years as a starter. Now, the first one I get because he's figuring out how to play NFL football in the first half. And maybe last year, I guess he was injured. So I guess. But I'm not going to keep going like this. I'm not going to go into year 4 of Jordan Love and year 5 of Jordan Love. Well, Micah Parsons got hurt. Well, at some point, I need to see Matt LaFleur and his staff coach a team to a division championship. Well, the Lions were really good. Sometimes you get a good team in your division. Well, the Bears they got really lucky. Sometimes another team gets some good luck and you get some bad luck. I want to see the Packers with Matt LaFleur as their head coach completely and totally from start to finish, play a high level of consistent football without having a bad month, without starting slow, without finishing slow, without blowing games to Carolina, Cleveland, because that's what it takes to win a division. And the Packers not winning the division in any of the last 3 years, despite being a playoff team, tells me that you're good enough to win a good amount of games. You're good enough to win most of your games. You're good enough to get to the playoffs, but you're not good enough to be a grown-up adult team that plays at a high level start to finish. And those are the teams that win Super Bowls for the most part. Now, just looking at this year's NFC, like the Rams could be a wild card and win a Super Bowl, but they're going to win 11 or 12 games in a loaded division. Now, their schedule's pretty weak. The NFC West has not faced a brutal schedule, sure, but I think we all agree that the Seahawks and the Niners and the Rams are all pretty great teams. So if you subtracted a win or two from each of their totals and the Seahawks had 12 wins, the Niners had 11, and the Rams had 10, we'd still think it's a good division. The record just wouldn't be as stark. And maybe that was the case with the NFC North last year because they had the South and, maybe the Lions and the Vikings won a couple extra games because of it. I also think those teams were really good. So again, really good teams, maybe an extra win or two, but still good teams. You can get in as a wild card and go on a run, but not as a wild card that's 9-6-1 and the 7th seed for the 3rd straight year. And this Packers team was more than good enough to win this division. I think it's a massive failure that they're a wild card. Forget the 7th seed. It's a massive failure they didn't win this division. This was the most winnable the North has been in any of Jordan Love's 3 years and any of Matt LaFleur's 3 years with Jordan Love. And they're not winning the division. And they're going to be on the road in the first weekend of the playoffs, either in Philly, good luck, although I don't think Philly's perfect, but you don't have to be perfect to beat this Packers team, or you're going back to Chicago, which, good luck. I know you played them really well 2 weeks ago. You should have beat them because then you're not going to Chicago again. Now you're hosting games. This Packers team didn't win the division this year because they weren't able to do any of the things that division champions need to do, which is crazy because they started 2-0. Like, they got off to a good start. It's not like they started poorly. The Texans started poorly. It's not like they had to go on the road opening night to go play, the defending Super Bowl champs. You didn't draw, the Eagles on opening night. Like sometimes the league almost functionally hands you an opening night loss. That's not what happened. You got the Lions at home with 2 new coordinators week 1. You got the Commanders on a short week. You got off to a 2-0 start with Micah Parsons and the wind at your back, and you managed to just F the thing. And that's why they're a wild card. So I know Packers fans will like to hear it. Well, the Packers, they're the 7th seed for the 3rd straight year, which I don't really care. A lot of people say, well, if the NFL hadn't expanded the playoffs, they wouldn't be in. Oh, okay, well, if and buts, I don't really care about that. It's the fact that they're not winning the division. They should be winning the division more often. The fact that they're not tells me that they're not a grown-up, adult, polished team, because you need to be an adult, grown-up, polished team. You can't ride one hot streak to a division win unless your division stinks, right? You can't have a good month and a half and win a division. It takes grown-up, adult football where you're ready to go in week 1, you finish strong through December, and you don't stub your toe against the dregs of the league like the Browns and the Panthers, and then blow winnable games like the Eagles game at home or the Bears game where you had a lead or the Broncos game where you had a lead. It's just really disappointing. And the fact that, again, they're not a division champion just tells me they're missing that little grown-up thing. And they haven't really been able to find it under Matt LaFleur. All right, I'll take your calls on this, or Malik Willis or Matt LaFleur, whatever you want to discuss. 608-321-1670. A couple of texts here. This is Clinton on Alaska. Says, it's funny to me to see everyone call for LaFleur's head. It was a defensive loss. I haven't heard one mention of fire Hafley. Through the McCarthy era, how many times is there a loss where the Pack put up 24 points and still lost, and then we called for McCarthy's head? None that I can remember. In those days, it was immediately fire Capers or Pettin. Just kind of funny to see the opposite here. Defense collapses with a second-string quarterback, and it's the offensive head coach that needs to be fired. However, I do agree if LaFleur gets into the playoffs and an awful one and done, it might be time for a new regime. Well, that's why. If LaFleur was just hired back in February or January or whenever, coaches are hired, then it's different. We're talking about Matt LaFleur so much, Clint, and I think you know this, but I'll reiterate for the rest of the audience too. We're discussing Matt LaFleur's future with the team because that's been a theme of this season. Because policy said before the year, we're not going to extend him. We're not going to do the lame duck. So on top of this season being Micah Parsons, Jordan Love playing at a high level, Super Bowl or bust, it's been, has Matt LaFleur done enough to get an extension? Has Brian Gutekunst done enough to get an extension? That's kind of been a theme that we've revisited like a song in a musical over the course of the season. We circle back and we revisit that in good and bad stretches. So that's what we're doing today. I feel like this 3-game losing streak is putting Matt LaFleur in an awful spot. And the season is trending towards a place now. It's trending towards the one place it couldn't trend to. Bad football in December and an ugly first-round loss. That's what was going to get Matt LaFleur fired, or I guess basically non-renewed. And that's where it feels like it's going. So that's what we're talking about, Clint. Jeff Hafley, a defense can have a bad week. Jeff Hafley deserves to be barbecued all week for that. His defense no-show. They didn't have any edge. They didn't have any energy. They came out complacent. Lucas Van Ness said it. And they schematically were sloppy. Rashawn Gary's getting blocked by a wide receiver. Rashawn Gary is such a treat, by the way. He both looks weak and slow. How is that possible? How on one play do you look weak? You're getting mugged by a wide receiver. But then on the next play, you look slow. Like you need to be one of the two. Either you're light and fast or you're light and fast or you're strong and plotting. He's like the worst of every defensive end. He's Nick Perry. He is Nick Perry, which I've been saying for like 3 years. And everyone's like, well, he hasn't been the same since the ACL tear. He played his best football immediately coming off the ACL tear. What are you talking about? That's not true at all. So I don't know if he's just washed or what. He's just not that good, which I've always said. God, he looked bad the other night. Holy balls. Madtown Ryan, I believe we have a championship team, but can you hire a championship coach in the offseason? That's a better question. I don't know. That's the Jags, right? Or the Patriots, who hired Mike Vrabel. I think there's good coaches in every cycle. I think there's good quarterbacks in every draft, good coaches in every cycle. And we talk ourselves, this is a bad year to need a coach. I don't know. There's good coaches everywhere. There's good quarterbacks everywhere. For smart teams who know how to find him and coach him, I think there's good quarterbacks everywhere. Johnny Cribbage says, LaFleur replacers need to name names. Not today. We're not doing that today. We do that in February. We don't need to compile a list right now. We're just trying to make a decision. Johnny Cribbage says, division, should Carolina or Tampa host the LA Rams? Honestly, this gets back to what I was saying. We always talk about, well, you shouldn't get to host a game just because you won the division. Again, I think winning the division shows that as a team, you are a mature, grown-up team that's sustained throughout the entire course of the season. And there's value in winning a division for that reason. Sometimes it gets weird because you're in the NFC South and there's no good teams, so you win 9 games and then you're hosting a team that won 12 games. It does happen, but big picture, again, that's why division wins should matter. Winning the division, not just winning games in your division, but that's why winning your division should matter. You can't start slow. You can't finish slow. You can't go in the tank for a month, and you can't stub your toe against bad teams. The Packers stubbed their toe against bad teams, and now they're finishing slow. They actually started fast, it's amazing they're the 7th seed after the way they started. It's actually impressive. Let's take a call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hi, this is Mike Monona.
Hey, Mike. What's going on?
Hey, I just, thinking about what you're saying. You want a grown-up team, but we have the youngest team in the league.
That's another thing. Yeah. I saw a person or two mention that during Bill's show. I'm not going to use that as an excuse because Brian Gutekunst's built this team, right? That's intentionally the way they've done it. But maybe we've learned that when you have a really young team, this is just what you get. And you can't coach around it. And you just get an inconsistent team.
Well, I don't know. Is there a disconnect? Because when LaFleur inherited Rodgers' team, that was an older team. And they were the 1 seed. The results are what they are. But is Matt LaFleur the right coach for a young team? I think he's a good play caller, but is he, the right coach if we're going to consistently have one of the younger rosters in the league?
Who brought this up? Maybe it was Louis and Eau Claire. I appreciate the call. Thanks for listening in Monona. I think it was Louis a couple weeks ago. He's like, it was after the Denver game. It's like this team is full of a bunch of kids. And in 2010, when they faced adversity and injuries, you had Woodson and you had Driver and Jennings and all of these guys who had been there, done that, and they'd played in big games at one level or another. Packers don't really have any of those guys. I'm not using it as an excuse at all. I'm just describing maybe that's why this team week to week is so friggin' inconsistent, is because it's a bunch of younger kids. And if that's why, well, then Brian Gutekunst has to wear it too. Because as I always say when this comes up, nobody's putting a gun to Brian Gutekunst's head and making him build a young team. He's built the team the way that he's wanted to build it. So whatever drawbacks come with that are his responsibility. It's not an excuse, but it could be an explanation. Absolutely. And something that's come up. So I don't know. And their oldest players like long snapper, punter, right? Or kicker, long snapper, holder. We'll take a break here. Come back. More from your phone calls. Remember, the Monday mailbag at 5:50 as well. Submit your questions, your topics, grantbills21@gmail.com.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
But this is the postseason right now. It's been the postseason for the last 3 weeks, and they failed. They have got to get this together. They got to play football. If they don't, I question a lot of what's going on over there in the coaching section, because it is very clear that this ship is starting to get rudderless, and they got to take control right now, or it's going to be one and done. And then we go through the whole situation, all the offseason, woulda, coulda, shoulda, blah, blah, blah. That ain't what's got to happen. They got to get this ship on course and fixed right now. But this is the postseason right now. It's been the postseason for the last 3 weeks now. It's been the postseason for the last 3 weeks, and they failed. They have got to get this together. They got to play football. If they don't, I question a lot of what's going on over there in the coaching section, because it is very clear that this ship is starting to get rudderless, and they got to take control right now, or it's going to be one and done. And then we go through the whole situation, all the offseason, woulda, coulda, shoulda, blah, blah, blah. That ain't what's got to happen. They got to get this ship on course and fixed right now.
That's Eric Baranchek earlier on the Bill Michaels show. I just thought that was a good comment. So good, I accidentally played it twice. And once it started for the second time, I'm like, whatever. Let it finish for really hammer it home. He was on hour number 2 at 11:30 every Monday, so you can go catch it, the podcast. The Wisco Sports Zone app, WiscoSportsZone.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. Very fun Bill Michaels show earlier today. We're talking about Matt LaFleur because I think it's where it starts. I'm surprised, actually, we haven't gotten more Malik Willis calls tonight. By the way, wide open phone line, so I won't make you wait. 608-321-1670. There's all of these things that are worth discussing. And it starts with Matt LaFleur and his job status with the Packers and his contract, which is up after next year, which means this offseason they either extend or fire. That's what Ed Policy said. And that's been the running storyline through most of the season. Now, that's true of Brian Gutekunst as well. I think if Ed Policy sat down both Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur individually and asked them to make the case on why this year showed that they deserved an extension, I think Brian Gutekunst would have a better case. I think Brian Gutekunst could say, look, I drafted arguably the best tight end in football. Christian Watson's a stud. Zach Tom was a later round pick. I traded for Micah Parsons and got him for the same price that the friggin' Colts got Sauce Gardner. Like, yeah, some of them got injured. What do you want me to do? And I think Brian Gutekunst would mostly be right. He would probably also have to defend, like, is Jordan Morgan any good? And were there maybe some players in the first round last year that could help this team or would have been a bigger help to this team? I mean, Cooper DeJean, I watched him yesterday. He looked pretty friggin' good. And this team is pretty bereft of talent at corner. I don't think they're awful at corner, but there's no special there. There's no game changers there. Could also look, Xavier McKinney's been great. Drafted Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, I was Brian Gutekunst say, last year in the draft, I went Edgerrin Cooper, Evan Williams, Javon Bullard, bang, bang, bang. I mean, that's not a shot in the arm to the defense. That's a new arm. That's a brand new arm to the defense. That's what that is. So I think Brian Gutekunst would be able to sit down and defend. Now, there's misses on draft picks and there's bad signings. Again, I think Hobbs and Banks have mostly, Hobbs has been more disappointing. I think Banks has been disappointing because the rest of the O-line has kind of been crappy around him. Like if Elton Jenkins took over at center at the beginning of the year and was a good center, and Zach Tom's been healthy throughout, I don't think we're talking about Banks as much because I think he's more of a footnote. I think he's more of an afterthought. But when Rasheed Walker can't keep it in his pants and commits 4 penalties in a huge game, and Zach Tom's not playing, and Jordan Morgan isn't good no matter what spot you throw him out there, and Elton Jenkins is hurt, but before he got hurt, he sucked. It's like, well, yeah, we're going to look at Aaron Banks now, okay? So I don't know that Aaron Banks has been this awful signing that everyone makes him out to be. I think he's been what we expected, which is when he was signed, it's like, oh, not great, but a piece that you can work with. Hobbs has been more disappointing, but I'd also say that as Xavier McKinney just catches the ball and Keyshawn Nixon and Xavier Valentine and Nixon and Xavier McKinney all catch some interceptions, we're not talking about it as much because the defense is forcing more turnovers, which they should be, but they're not. So I think, I've been guilty in the past with Badger basketball or the Brewer. Like I was guilty. Some callers got on me last Brewer season, especially early on, because I'm like, man, Caleb Durbin and Joey Ortiz suck. And people would call in and say, well, why are you yelling at Joey Ortiz and Caleb Durbin? Christian Yelich can't get it going. Contreras can't get it going. And I'm like, all right, that's a good point. Like maybe we shouldn't obsess over the bottom of the lineup when the top of the lineup isn't performing. I think that, not to cross sports, I think the same is true of this Packers defense. Like if some of the high level players were healthy and or making plays, we're not focusing as much on Nate Hobbs, who I think has mostly been a boob. To be fair, he's been injury prone. So, hey, I have an idea. Let's throw him out there and kickoff return. Hey, our concussion prone receiver, let's make him field punts. Oh, our corner with a knee that's held together with duct tape, let's make him return kicks. Good God. So, no, Hobbs is not a perfect player. I also think they're the bottom of the lineup guys, those free agents. So, again, Gutekunst could make the case. I think he's done a pretty good job. Perfect, no, but no GM has. Matt LaFleur, I think would have a harder time explaining what's happened this year. And I don't know Ed Policy and Matt LaFleur's relationship, and I don't know how positively or negatively predisposed Ed Policy was to Matt LaFleur one way or another. I've kind of thought from the beginning of the year that Ed Policy would have liked to retain everyone and extend everyone, and he would need to see evidence to do otherwise. I think we're getting to the point now where maybe Matt LaFleur has given him some evidence to do otherwise. I don't think that of Brian Gutekunst. Not perfect, but then again, you can ask the question, does he want to split them up? Does Ed Policy want to make a logistical decision where he keeps GM and fires coach, or is it an all-for-nothing approach? I don't know. That's for us to make educated guesses. I think Brian Gutekunst has done a pretty good job. I don't want to retain him. Matt LaFleur, the way the season's going, I don't know. Making a case for the Packers to probably do otherwise. Right now, as it stands today. We'll see how they look in Minnesota, and if they go into Philly round 1 and win a huge game and the team rallies, well, then we can change our mind or adjust with new information. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. Mad Max from the Racine Tunnels.
Hey, Mad
Max.
Wish
you a Merry Christmas.
You as well. Were you in the tunnels for Christmas?
I actually got out a little bit. I traveled around with some family, but yeah, I just still want to wish you a Merry Christmas because just want to remind everyone that Christmas is 12 days. Even though I was back at work today, it is still Christmas and it's Christmas. I think this is the 5th day, but yeah, keep those decorations up because I'll still be celebrating on January 6th, which is the last day.
That's a good reminder, Max. It's a very good reminder. It's appreciated.
Yeah, so on Saturday we had we had a family Christmas, and of course I got a few hot takes from some family members. One dropped the whole, I think Willis is better than Love. I think we got to trade Love and sign Willis to a contract. So I got that, and then here's another story. So I think I finally hinted at my family about the cabal and the tunnels when I was talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, because I read that Travis Kelce finished the game last week at 12,990 yards. So he's 10 yards short of reaching 13,000 yards, which which 13 happens to be his fiance's lucky number, as the Swifties in my family like to point out. So I use that as an opportunity to kind of delve into how the NFL is kind of a scripted fake cabal theater, and they're just shoving it in our faces because Travis is going to go out with his storybook ending. He's going to get 10 yards or so, and he'll finish with 13,000 yards. So all the Swifties will be like, "Oh my gosh, he ended his career with 13,000 yards. That's his lover's lucky number." And just the Swifties aren't going to realize that they're all being manipulated. How it's just a satanic energy harvest, because 13 is often a number associated with witchcraft and other evil things. And I don't know if Kelsey's a willing participant in it, or if he's just kind of a useful idiot who's just like, "Oh yeah, it'd be cool to marry Taylor Swift and be a house husband to her the rest of my life when my career ends." So I kind of dropped that bomb on my family on Christmas. So I think they're starting to realize how crazy I am.
Do you think it's the real Taylor Swift that's been at these games at Arrowhead, or is it something else?
I think they probably switch her out, because I have seen some shots that some internet sleuths have pointed out where some of the shots of her look different than ones that they've seen at other games. So I think there's probably multiple body doubles of her across the country at different, in different tunnels around the world even.
Okay. It's an international thing. Well, that's interesting. So are you doing anything specific before I let you go to celebrate Christmas tonight? You said you're celebrating through January 6th?
Yes, through January 6th. So I think January 6th, since that's the last day of Christmas, I honestly think that should be a national holiday as well. I think we should celebrate on January 6th as hard as we do on December 25th, just like we celebrate the beginning, because the end is the beginning is the end, Alpha and Omega and all that.
Yeah, the white horse. We could get together. Well, doesn't Taylor Swift have a song, "You and Your White Horse," and come around? That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's
something like
about
that. I don't listen a ton to her, but that sounds familiar.
It's, what do they call it? Programming material or pre-program?
Predictive
programming. That's it. Yeah, that's right.
Like audience capture.
Interesting. Well, I look forward to talking about this more, Max. Have a great, what is today? The fourth day of Christmas? Enjoy the fourth day of Christmas.
The fifth day.
Fifth day of Christmas. Enjoy. I appreciate the call. January 6th should be a national holiday is an interesting take. Let's just cut right to it. I want to talk about Malik Willis on the other side, because that's something we haven't hit yet. The show presented by Road America. Get your passes for next year. Schedule's out. All the events are out, so mark your calendar, get your tickets, and a lot of it is discounted through the first of the year. So not through January 6th, but through January 1. You can go to roadamerica.com for the full schedule and to get your tickets and your passes and such. So things are lined up for this next year. We're going to take a 5-minute break, come back, and let's talk about the Malik Willis of it all.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This show will resume in 5 minutes. Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think, guys, I want to pump the brakes on all that stuff. I think Jordan Love is playing some pretty high level football, and it's great that we feel the same about Malik in his ability to go in there. And, I thought he's had 2 really back to back outstanding performances. So we're in a good spot with that position. Certainly have a lot of confidence in both of those guys, but I mean, it's pretty clear that Jordan is our franchise quarterback, and he is going to be when he is healthy, he's going to be our starter. So I just want to squash all that.
That's Matt LaFleur yesterday in his press conference. I think it's an important question that needs to be asked. Ryan Wood, I believe, was the one who asked Matt LaFleur. So just to be clear, Jordan Love is your starter. You think that he's probably the best way to ask it is Jordan Love gives you the best chance to win, right? Can you explain that? So that was yesterday. And I saw a lot of Packers people on the internet. And I love Peter Bukowski. He was leading the charge on this. I don't agree with this. It's ridiculous that someone asked that question. Is it? I don't get with press conferences sometimes. Most days I look online and it's like, they never ask LaFleur the tough questions. Why do they never ask him the tough questions? It's like, okay, I agree. I want tough questions asked. But do you want the reporters to insult the coach with very direct questions, or do you want them to ask questions that get answers? Because there's a line to be walked, right? One thing does not, you can't, I think of The Office. Yeah, I have questions for you, Ryan. First off, what the hell? You can't, that's not going to get, you know what I mean? That's not going to get anything. Sometimes I wish, and I always make this case, you need a radio bonobo like me in each of these press conferences, because we're not, I am not there as an embedded beat reporter following along with the injury progressions of this guy, that guy, and the other guy. I'm going to come in and be like, I'm going to ask the stupid person question that's actually a good question. But because I am stupid, I see and I ask questions that embedded beat reporters like Tom Silverstein and Pete Doherty, they're not going to think to ask the stupid person question because they're doing high-level Packers coverage, balanced, fair and balanced. I'm going to come in and, I'll have my notes. Hold on. I need a prop. I'm going to have my notes. Like this would be me at Jeff Hafley's presser on Thursday, for example. People are asking, what's up with Kamal Haddon's injury? I saw that Nate Hobbs, you're moving him around or Bullard, using him in this progression, that progression. Rashawn Gary playing this percent of the snaps, talk about that. And I'm in the back and I got my stack of papers and my questions. And I'm like, okay, I put my hand up. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is a stupid question, Coach Hafley. Thank you, by the way. So, did you not think the Ravens were going to run the ball with Derrick Henry, or what was going on? Let me ask you this, Coach. What did you do last week at practice? What did you think was going to happen Saturday? You know what I mean? Also, in a press conference with Rich Bisaccia, this is what I would contribute as a radio Dumbo. You'd have people asking, what is Kamonji Turpin with the Cowboys this week? What kind of challenge is he going to present as a returner? And, Bisaccia would give a good question. He's very twitchy. He's very, blah, 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 blah. And then you'd ask, Romeo Dobbs, the punt returner, what about him that gives you, what gives him the best chance or what gives you the best chance to succeed with him as punt returner? Zane Anderson, is he healthy this week? And then me in the back, I put my hand up and I'd say, Coach Bisaccia, might be a stupid question. Do you guys practice blocking extra points? I have to ask, I'm not allowed to practice. Is that something you do work on? That okay. So I lost that bet. Okay, that is something you work. You need someone to ask the stupid questions. And the stupid question this weekend was, does Jordan Love still give you the best chance to win? And I'm not offended that the question was asked. I think this Malik Willis situation is fascinating. We all agree that Malik Willis is good, right? I think that's the one thing that Packers fans as a collective are batting 1,000 on. We all agree that he's good. I have not heard anyone call any of these shows, and I don't think you would go to any local sports bar. I'm going to drive down to Verona and have some brews with RJ at the golf course down there, and I'm gonna look down. I'm going to see someone at the other end of the bar. I think this Malik Willis guy's overrated. I think he blows. No one's saying no. We all agree that he's good, and yet, as someone who believes, as one of the many that believes Malik Willis is good, I'm watching with my dad on Saturday night, and we're cackling at the TV because we can't believe some of the things he's been doing. We don't go into these games. We haven't gone into these games thinking, who's this Malik Willis feller? Oh, he can move a little bit. We know his back. We shouldn't be surprised at great plays that he's making, and yet he played so well on Saturday that we were like, whoa, that throw to Watson, man, rolling to his left on the run. He doesn't have a base. He doesn't have a plant. Or even the first touchdown, they just ripped right down the seam, hitting Christian Watson in stride, which is something that Jordan Love doesn't always do. It's something to consider. Here's the part of the Malik Willis Jordan Love thing that I find compelling, and it's specific to this team, which is why I think it's a question worth asking to Matt LaFleur. And also, I don't get offended when someone asks a coach a question. Everybody loosen your panties on Packers Twitter. Peter Bukowski. I think Malik Willis is such an interesting player for this Packers team because they can't run the ball at all, even a little. We've spent and we've given up on this, so you might not remember, but I remember because this pathetic show is my whole life. So if I don't remember what goes on in this show, then actually, what am I contributing to society? What's staying in my brain if not for this show? And I remember earlier this year playing the Cowboys. Well, if they can't run against the Cowboys, they can't run against anybody. Well, if they can't run against the Bengals, they can't run against anybody. Well, if they can't run on the Steelers, they can't run. Turns out they can't run on anybody at all. They just can't do it. The Bears, the Bengals, whatever crappy run defense you throw in front of them, they can't do it. So Jordan Love, in order for this offense to score and score at a high level, he's got to throw for a pile of yards. And God bless him, in just about every game this year, he's done it, which is why he was third in MVP odds before he, got hurt, which people, I think, forget. And I know MVP odds don't win Super Bowls, but he was balling. Malik Willis can run the ball a little bit. He gives them something that they don't have, something that Jordan Love can't give them. I'm not implying that he should take over as the starter, but I think that does make it interesting, man. It's at least something worth pondering and kicking around on a sports talk radio show. Let's take a call here. The Monday Mailbag just minutes away. GrantBills21 at gmail.com. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hi, this is Steve from Madison.
Hey, Steve. What's going on?
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I got two things. So one was Malik Willis. I think you got to entertain whoever gets you the most draft capital. You got to trade him if you're not gonna keep him.
Willis?
So, yeah, for sure.
Well, the problem is his contract is up after this year. So if he walks in free agency, they'll get a compensatory pick. And Bill and Clemens were talking earlier, and I don't understand how it works. It'd be a thing for the offseason, but like they could get like a third or a fourth round pick if he signs for a good amount of money. And I don't know what he'll sign for, but they can't trade him. They could have this last offseason, and that's something that we discussed, but thank God they didn't, because he stepped in and helped them win, well, one game, the Giants game.
Right.
They should have won the Bears game for what it's worth.
So the question is, what could you get for Jordan Love?
Yeah, what? And then you sign Malik Willis? Is that what you'd want to do?
I'm not. I think you got to explore your options if you're.
Well, that's why we're here.
Oh, that's why we're here. But so the second thing I got is, I don't know why everybody's so surprised about the Packers not playing well in December. They're a finesse team. LaFleur is a finesse coach. He's a softer coach. They're going to win on finesse. It'd be perfect if we were the San Francisco 49ers, but we're a cold weather team and we can't run the ball and we can't stop the run. So how do you ever get to the Super Bowl if it goes through Green Bay and you can't run the ball?
So Steve, this is an excellent point. It's not something we talked about. I'm going to cut you off right there because I want to talk about this. So I don't think Matt LaFleur is a finesse coach. I think if Matt LaFleur had his druthers, this would be a run-first offense that gets upfield and that's road grader and beats you up. I think that's why they signed Josh Jacobs and drafted Anthony Belton and signed Aaron Banks, is because they wanted to go be a more physical, in-your-face, up-and-down vertical running game. And I think Matt LaFleur wants this team to be a run-first team because I've watched him try to force this team to be a run-first team all season long, even though they suck at it. So I don't think he's necessarily a finesse coach. I think this year they've been unable to run the ball, which really limits what he wants to do. Now, in terms of winning at Lambeau, like you're right, Steve. I saw Eric Drews, just Twitter account at Green and Gold Forever, tweet this last night. I bookmarked it. The Packers have lost more games at Lambeau Field in 15 months than the Mike Holmgren Packers lost there in 7 years. I don't know what to chalk that up to. I don't know how to explain that. It's funny. They were actually good at stopping the run. This Saturday, that loss to the Ravens is going to, move so many narratives. And we'll see how they bounce back against the Vikings, because I expect the Vikings and whoever plays them in the playoffs, whether it's the Bears or the Eagles, will try to run on them. But they've been really good at stopping the run in each of the last 2 years. I don't understand why the wheels fell off on Saturday. I look forward to Jeff Hafley's presser later this week. We should all criticize him thoroughly in the meantime, because he's going to say some things on Thursday. It's going to make everyone go, oh, that's that. Now that's a leader of men, which maybe he is. He certainly wasn't on Saturday, though. His unit sucked. Monday Mailbag next. Submit your questions. GrantBills21 at gmail.com.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Because the mail never stops.
Charles, we'll be writing to you.
She's got mail. That's the name of the movie.
That's it, honey. There's never a let up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you gotta get it up. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in.
The Monday Mailbag. All questions on all sorts of topics submitted for consideration and discussion at grantbills21@gmail.com. That's the official email inbox of the Wisco Sports Show. Tyler in Massachusetts, a weekly emailer, and I appreciate his content as I'm crowdsourcing a segment, although I enjoy it. Appropriate here. This is something that we should discuss. It says, with the announcement of your show now being broadcasted in Appleton and Oshkosh on terrestrial radio, will you be doing any remotes or events in the Fox cities in the future? Congrats to you and Ebo. Yeah, big news today. We're going to be on the Score in Appleton. Ebo from 6 to 9. I can't wait until those people get a load of that. Oh, my God. Get ready to speak, Dave from Monona, Appleton and Oshkosh. Yes, that is the Score. So we're hitting the Fox Valley. Everybody starting next week, best behavior. We need to impress everybody. That's 95.3 FM, 99.1 FM between Appleton and Oshkosh. And then this show from 4 to 6. I don't know if they want. Yeah, dude, I'll go anywhere and broadcast. Why not? I go to La Crosse enough to do it. I was up in Menominee. Thanks again to Kai Chevrolet for having us on Friday. That was a blast. Nice showroom surrounded by beautiful, beautiful vehicles. It was right in front of some, I believe it was a Corvette. It was a classic. It could have been a Camaro. I'm not a car expert. If you've listened to the show for any length of time, you know this. I got an oil change. Their service department did me right. My car got back and just in time, so I had to battle some elements yesterday and then this morning. Yeah, I'll go up to Appleton and Oshkosh. It'll be perfect because why can't I remember what it's called? G-Dub's big party. G-Dub, if you're on the live stream, why am I blanking? Coming up in March. It's not G-Dub Fest. Why can't I remember what it's called? Gregapalooza. Thank you, G-Dub. So maybe we'll do something for that. Ebo will be broadcasting up there in March just for that. Tony in Texas, who we didn't hear from on the phone today, but an important email. This is actually something that I wanted to bring up on the show. It says, Grant, what's your review on the Song Sung Blue movie? Should I bring a date or my mom? Thanks always, Malik Willis fan club president. Thank you, Tony, for the email. I don't want to talk too much about this movie because I went in knowing nothing other than Lightning and Thunder were a duo in Milwaukee, and that's all I knew. And I think a lot of, like 99% of people, that's all that they know too. And I don't want to, there's so much more to the story that I don't want to, it was go into that movie prepared, man. Go with your mom. Don't take a day. I mean, Tony, if you're trying to get laid, like go to do something else. Don't take him to this movie. I thought Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson were awesome. Hugh Jackman has range, man. Like the movies that come to mind with Hugh Jackman for me are Song Sung Blue. I thought he was outstanding. I saw it on Friday with my parents. Prisoners, when he's terrifying. And then The Prestige. Like Hugh Jackman can do anything and is really good. But it's about, this tribute, this Neil Diamond tribute, and it'll make you feel good. It'll make you cry. And all of the scenes where they perform are like really believable. Because sometimes, when there's scenes like that, when there's concerts in a movie and like you can tell they're not really playing the instrument, like it's really well done. And I'm bought in. They have me. Now, I'm not someone that fancies myself an expert on film. So I know what I'm going to do is because I'm going to have some downtime this week, like on New Year's Day. I'm like, I'm going to go listen to like a Ringer podcast about Song Sung Blue and hear what they had to say. And someone's going to be like, well, I thought the cinematography in the theater scenes was kind of lame. Okay, we'll blow it out your ass. I thought it was great. Go see it. And it's in Milwaukee, which is really cool. Tom says, if Matt LaFleur receives his walking papers after this year, would a refreshed Mike McCarthy be available? Tom and Bloomer. So I saw this email earlier, Tom, and it's funny. I wonder if there's ever going to be a team. I guess the Yankees did this. But when Adrian Griffin was fired, I think a lot of Bucs fans were like, can we just get Bud back? And I think with Matt LaFleur, there were stretches last year where people were like, Mike McCarthy, like, would Mike McCarthy be a good? Weirdly, we do the same thing with our boyfriends and girlfriends, right? You break up with someone and then you try something else. And you're like, man, I miss that old thing. That's not what we would call our ex, but like, I miss the old situation, right? So I do like weirdly think, I don't know. Although I think Mike McCarthy in his very own different way, like showed some of the same red flags in Dallas that we're seeing from Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. It's like, he'll get you there. Great regular season. You'll stack up wins. Mike McCarthy's offenses and teams were actually more prolific down the stretch in his time in Dallas. Dak got hurt a little bit, but also like maybe Jordan Love is just Dak Prescott. We learn over the years. It's like, you'll get there. And that's all the farther you'll get, right? You just don't know. Tomorrow, we will connect with Mike Clemens. I look forward to that. I bet Mike saw Lightning and Thunder back in Milwaukee back in the day. My dad had seen him a couple times, like State Fair and Summerfest on a free stage. If you are someone like me who feels like there's this thing you need to do in life, like this radio show is clearly something that I feel like I need to do this at the expense of other, like you just got something in you that's like, I need to do that thing. That part of the movie spoke to me. Hugh Jackson was awesome. Kate Hudson was awesome. There's a lot more to the story than I thought. So go see it. I don't want to say any more about it because I don't want to spoil it. It's a banging movie. It moved me. But then again, I'm not a film expert, so the nerds on Letterboxd or whatever will probably eat it alive. Whatever. Don't care. I had a good time watching it. Tomorrow, Mike Clemens, and we will talk about the full slate and full schedule of Week 18. Enjoy. Thanks.